Okay, guys. Video 3 is about other senses. Our sense of touch is actually 4 senses, and those 4 senses are pressure, warmth, cold, and pain. And these senses combine to produce other sensations like hot. There is no simple relationship between what we feel and the type of specialized nerve ending found there. The only pressure has identifiable receptors, and this right here, if you have cold water and warm water running through pipes, you're going to get the sensation of hot. So again, the different types of combinations of these types of touch will produce a sensation of hot. But again, we don't have receptors for hot. The rubber hand illusion is a really cool thing. When a researcher simultaneously touches a volunteer's real and fake hands, the volunteer feels as though the seen fake hand is her own. And the rubber hand illusion it illustrates how touch is not only a bottom-up property of our senses, but also a top-down product of our brain and our expectations. Kinesthesis is the system for sensing the position and movement of individual body parts. Sensors in the tendons, joints, and bones, and ears, as well as skin sensors, all of these are continually providing our brain with information. And a companion vestibular sense monitors the head's and therefore the body's position and movement. And so this is located somewhat in your ears, in the semicircular canals, like around the cochlea. The biological gyroscopes for the sense of equilibrium, again, are in the semicircular canals and vestibular sacs in the inner ear. And here's your semicircular canals. Again, it's not the cochlea, but they're around the cochlea. Pain is an alarm system that draws our attention to some physical problem. And without the ability to experience pain, people may die before early adulthood. There's no one type of stimulus that triggers pain, and there are no special receptors for pain. Instead, there are different what we call nociceptors, and these are sensory receptors that detect hurtful temperatures, pressure, or chemicals. And the gate control theory of pain is that small fibers in the spinal cord open a gate that permits pain signals to travel up to the brain, and large fibers close the gate to prevent their passage. When we talk about pain, pain is a really complicated process in our body. But talking about endorphins, pain is not merely a physical phenomenon of injured nerves sending impulses to the brain. Two psychologists, Melzack and Wall, noted that brain to spinal cord messages can also close this gate, and this helps to explain some striking influences on pain. When you're distracted from pain and soothed by the release of endorphins, these are natural painkillers again, your experience of pain may be greatly diminished. So, like, for example, sports injuries often go unnoticed until after the game shower. People who carry a gene that boosts the availability of endorphins are less bothered by pain, and their brain is less responsive to pain. But others who carry a mutated gene that disrupts pain circuit neurotransmitters may be unable to experience pain. And these discoveries point to the way towards new pain medications that can mimic these genetic effects. The brain can also create pain, as it does in phantom limb sensations, and this is when the brain is misinterpreting the spontaneous central nervous system activity that occurs in the absence of normal sensory input. 7 in 10 amputees report feeling pain or movement in non-existent limbs. And an amputee would do something like try to step off a bed into a phantom limb or lift a cup with a phantom hand. And even those born without a limb sometimes perceive sensations in this absent arm or leg. And the brain, researchers think, comes prepared to anticipate that it will be getting information from a body that has limbs. A similar phenomenon occurs in other senses. People with hearing loss often experience the sound of silence and phantom sounds, a ringing in the ears sensation known as tinnitus. Also, those who lose vision to glaucoma, cataracts, diabetes, or macular degeneration experience phantom sights often, and these are non-threatening hallucinations. So remember, we feel, see, hear, taste, and smell with our brain, and our brain can sense even without functioning senses. This is an example of the pain circuit. Like, say, I mean, that would hurt so bad. You step on a tack, it's going to go, the pain impulse is going to go up your leg through the nociceptors. It's going to go to the nerve cell in your spinal cord and then go up to your brain. So understanding pain, the biopsychosocial approach views pain not only as a product of biological influences, for example, of injured nerves sending impulses to the brain, but also as a result of psychological influences through our expectations and social influences such as the presence of others. Pain is controlled through a combination of medical and psychological treatments. Again, memories of pain. If you have an emotional attachment to something, like a scenario, then, you know, let's say you sprained your ankle before, but it was in a sports game, so it wasn't that bad. If you're ever in that situation again, then you might not be that concerned about spraining your ankle because it wasn't that bad. However, let's say you're in a situation that caused you a lot of pain, like this lady right here, she was in a hospital and something happened, she was in incredible pain. So next time she goes to a hospital, she might feel those sensations again and make her pain even worse. Again, social cultural influences, who you're surrounded by, how many, like what are the expectations here, can really influence how bad we feel this pain. This is a picture of Paul Pierce, and this was in a 2008 NBA Championship Series game. He screamed in pain after an opposing player stepped on his right foot and caused his knee to twist and pop. He was carried off the court, but then he came back and played through the pain. And this, but after the game, of course, he ended up having torn tendons and stuff because after the game, the pain came back. So, you know, we see this a lot from athletes. We're expected to play through the pain and all that kind of stuff. So those are definitely social cultural influences. So all these things influence our personal experience of pain. Again, controlling pain, there's physical methods like painkillers. There's also psychological methods that people are working on. Taste is a chemical sense, and it's a composite of sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and what we call umami sensations, and of the aromas that interact with information from our taste buds. Taste buds on the top and sides of the tongue contain taste receptor cells, and these send information to an area of the brain's temporal lobe. Taste receptors reproduce themselves every week or so, and as we grow older, the number of taste buds and taste sensitivity decreases. And this is from an evolutionary standpoint. These are the tastes that we have and why we taste them the way we do. Sweet is an energy source. That's why people like sweets. Salty, people, you know, it's a sodium essential to physiological processes. We don't really like sour stuff because it's potentially toxic. Bitter is potentially poisonous. And umami is really good proteins to grow and repair tissue. And umami is a new taste that was just recently discovered not long ago. But a good example of this would be like peanut butter. Because peanut butter doesn't really fall in any of these categories perfectly. It can be sweet, it can be salty, but it's also both. I mean, it's really confusing. But peanut butter is a really good protein, and it's umami. That's what I always think about. Sensory interaction refers to the principle that one sense may influence another, as when smell of food influences its taste. So in a few individuals, the senses can become joined in a phenomenon called synesthesia. It's hard for me to say, sorry. Oh, what did I do? Sorry, let me get back to the right slide. Sorry, guys. Okay. So the interaction of smell and taste right here. when the McGurk effect is a phenomenon that if, like, for example, when we see the mouth movements for GA while hearing BA, we might perceive DA. Yeah, that's all you need to know about that. I'm sorry. The McGurk effect is simply a phenomenon that our brains do that sometimes when our senses interact, we get a whole new sensation. So again, the smell and taste do influence one another. And in a few individuals, the senses, again, become combined and they link up in a way called synesthesia, and this is one kind of sensation, like hearing produces another, like seeing color. Smell or olfaction is a chemical sense, but without any basic sensations. And the 5 million or more olfactory receptor cells, with their approximately 350 different receptor proteins, recognize individual odor molecules, with some odors triggering a combination of receptors. The receptor cells send messages to the olfactory lobe and then to the temporal lobe and to parts of the limbic system. And an odor's ability to spontaneously evoke memories is due in part to the close connections between brain areas that process smell and those involved in memory storage. So I'm sure all of us, certain smells can make you think of certain things. It can make you remember certain things. And that's because the two areas of our brain that control memory and olfaction are very close together. Women and young adults have the best sense of smell, but smell does, again, your ability to smell well does decrease with age. And that's it. Thanks, guys.